Dave Rogers. I'm of counsel here. I mostly do business law. I do some employment work in the context of business law, employment agreements and the like. And apparently I cannot resist a little shameless self-promotion. As Tamsin said, that is Governor Baker handing me the pen that he just used to sign the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, which is a bill I introduced, and as Rob so ably described. And it had really bipartisan support. In the House where I serve, every single member, Democrat and Republican, voted for it. And we had a lot of support from the business community, actually, and they helped negotiate a good conclusion there. So I'm going to go through fairly quickly what's happening in state law right now that could affect the employment arena. And the action really is in ballot questions. Maybe you've been following this, maybe not. Like most states, we have a ballot referendum process where citizens groups can put a law on the ballot for voters to decide. That's how marijuana, at least adult use marijuana, became legal here. The voters approved it. Right now, there are three big ballot questions brewing. One is paid family and medical leave. I'm told it's polling well. That's how earned sick time became law here, ballot question. And the same group, Raise Up Massachusetts, it's an umbrella group of about 150 organizations, unions, is pushing that. Raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is another ballot question. And even if you don't have a lot of minimum wage workers, that's going to tend to put upward pressure on all wages if it passes. And finally, a reduction in the state sales tax, which might not immediately be obvious, but the reason that is important is the way the ballot question process works is first, the Attorney General has to certify it's appropriate to be on the ballot. Not everything can go on the ballot. Then the group has to gather a lot of signatures, but then it comes back to us in the legislature to see if we can get a deal done so it doesn't have to go to the ballot. Ballot fights are very expensive, time consuming, and that's where it is now. It's in the State House. And so the retailers who have a reduction in the state sales tax are saying, maybe we'll back off our ballot question to reduce the sales tax if you give us some relief on the minimum wage and the Paid Family and Medical Leave Act. And I just met with the chair of Labor and Workforce Development yesterday. Those negotiations are ongoing. And I said, what do you think? He said, it's a coin toss. He said, I don't know if we're going to reach a deal or not. So these could be going to the ballot. So I'm going to try to tick through them. And you can always follow up with me on anything. I'm happy to give clients advice as to generally what's happening at the State House. So paid family and medical leave would give 16 weeks of paid family and medical leave. And that is, unlike Family Medical Leave Act now, or the Small Necessities Leave Act, which is in Massachusetts, or the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, this leave is paid. It's paid family medical leave. It's to care for a seriously ill or injured family member, care for a new child, or to meet family needs arising from military service. That's the family leave part. The medical leave part is to recover from an employee's own illness or injury. That's up to 26 weeks, half a year of paid leave, or to care for a seriously injured family member. It would be funded by contributions to a family and medical leave trust fund, which is 6/10 of 1 penny of weekly wages would automatically go into that trust fund. The employer can require that the employee fund 50% of it, fund half of it from a payroll deduction. It would be a maximum of $1,000 a week, and like other laws protecting employees, there can be no retaliation for asserting the right. And if you talk to plaintiffs' lawyers, they'll often say, I couldn't prove my case for a violation of national origin or discrimination on gender or discrimination on any other, but they retaliated. So retaliation is important. Now, the next piece is the minimum wage, and that would raise the minimum wage $1 an hour for the next 4 years. So we're at 11 now. It would go to 12, 13, 14, and 15 over the next 4 years. And that would also raise, for those in the restaurant business, the tipped wage for servers. Again, it's not clear what's going to happen, but just like for those of you who were last year, I predicted Pregnant Workers Fairness Act would become law. You can never say for sure, but I think these two are likely to become law. We're likely to have paid family and medical leave in our state. We're likely to see an increase to the minimum wage. It'll be up to the voters probably. I'll just do two more things. There's always 30 or 40 or 50 laws that could affect employers in the workplace, but I've just picked two. One is non-compete law. Non-compete law in our state, as many of you may know, is decided by judge-made law, case law. There's a movement to codify that in statute. And right now, it was reported out of the Labor and Workforce Development Committee, so it goes to Ways and Means, where it will get further consideration. It would limit employers to 12 months in most circumstances for the duration. It has to be reasonable in geographic scope. It does have a garden leave provision, which says the employee must be paid up to 50% of their salary while they're in this non-compete period. And it bars non-competes for certain types of low-level workers. And then the final thing I'll talk about is the wage theft law. And for any of you who may be in the construction business, although this could apply beyond the construction industry, the big piece there is that it says a general contractor can be liable for the violations of a subcontractor. So you can imagine that's being hard fought, it's controversial. What the advocates say is, look, most generals know their subs who have a spotty track record on wage payment. And as you can imagine, general contractors are pushing back pretty hard. But the wage law is very powerful in our state. It can provide for up to treble damages. The senior officers of a company can be named directly in these lawsuits, so it's an amendment to our payment of wages law. And that's another one that also got reported out favorably and is in the mix. It's tough to say what's going to happen, but I'm always, again, happy to answer questions. And so there's a lot going on, particularly with the ballot questions. And thanks a lot.
All right, that concludes the presentation. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We'll be here if anyone has questions or want to chat about any of the topics or anything else relating to employment law. We'll be around, so feel free to stick around and eat some more food and drink some coffee, and we'll be here. But thanks again for coming. We look forward to doing this again next year. Thank you, everyone.